What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bama Standard. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, get in the comment section below because we need to hear from you. I'm your host, Justin Riley, joined as always by two Alabama legends, former All SEC linebacker Marvin Constant, and a man who never sugarcoats anything. He's the king of the strip, Daniel Pettey. What's up, fellas?
Going on, roll
Glad to
tide.
be here. Big time legend in the house tonight.
No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got a big time legend, like Patty said, one of the most electrifying men to ever catch a ball, and Bryant Denny, an ESPY Award winner. He is a legend. Tyrone Prothro, welcome back, brother. Glad to have you in the building.
Man, thanks for having me on. It's been a while, man. I've been ripping and running and kids and football and kids and football. And so it's good to be back on here.
Well, on a side note, you and Sean both can just stop doing it. So I know you got the "Just Do It" shirt on. No, y'all need to stop.
I know it. I know
Stop.
it. No, hey, that's it. That's it, my boy. That's it.
Get a shirt that says "Been Done It."
I know it.
We talked to Brody Kroll a few months ago, and he still wants to know why he didn't get that SB invite.
Well, one, he didn't get the SB invite because he keeps saying I ran the wrong route.
Tell him if it wasn't such a bad throw, you wouldn't have had to make such a great
Man,
throw.
I told him that he said I ran the wrong route, and I have to keep correcting him and telling him, hey, I ran the right route. And then even if you think I ran the wrong route, is the person that ran the wrong route supposed to get the ball?
So you still threw it.
I don't think so. You still threw it to me. So hey, right route, good ball, decent ball, better catch.
There it is, folks.
Brody's my guy, man. Every time I
Yeah.
talk to him, every time we see each other, we always joke about that and joke about what the play was. But at the end of the day, man, anytime I was 1-on-1, he always gave me an opportunity to make a play, and that was just one of those plays where he gave me a chance, and 1-on-1, I was able to make a play.
You did, man. So let's start talking about everything. Alabama's got South Carolina this weekend. Not the biggest matchup on paper, but sometimes those are the games that can sneak up on you. So we're going to be diving into what this week means for the Tide, Tai Simpson's growth, and this young, explosive wide receiver group that's turning heads. Pro, let's start right there. You've been in the Alabama locker room a week before the bye, facing a team that's been struggling. How hard is it for players to stay locked in and avoid falling into that trap game mentality? Marvin gave his dissertation last night about this isn't a trap game. So I need to hear your side of things.
I mean,
Hey,
I
hold
do
on,
think
hold on,
it's
hold on, hold on, Pro, hold on, hold on.
We
So
got
last night, the discussion it comes up that football players get mentally fatigued after playing a tough stretch of games. And my answer was, you don't get fatigued mentally from playing games. Your body is fatigued, and you take care of your body, yes. But mentally, you know what you signed up for. There's no mental
Mhm.
fatigue in the middle of the season.
I do think, like you said, you do know what you signed up for, but I do think that you can get caught up, especially looking into the next week, looking into the next game. And I know we got a bye week, but you can get caught looking into the next opponent and really kind of sleeping past this opponent. And you look at what they did last year. I think it's one game that you really can't look past. You're gonna have to come in focused and ready to play because they're gonna come ready to play.
I want to piggyback on that. And you talk about ready to play. You had one of your best games against South Carolina, which you had a lot of good games at Alabama. I don't see this as a trap game because you're going on the road in the SEC. Speak to that. I know Marvin says it's a mental thing, but he was a linebacker. Let's be real. He wasn't like you receivers and quarterbacks and us skill players back in my high school day. The grind gets to you. You've just played at Georgia. You played Vanderbilt, which is not your mama and daddy's Vanderbilt. Then you go on the road to Missouri and get in a fist fight with those guys and you play your rival. How important is it? Yeah, this is South Carolina. It's real easy, and I know players read the media. You read the press clippings. You know Carolina's not the team they were last year. They're kind of stumbling. How easy is it to overlook this as a player? Or how hard is it to lock in, or is it not?
I don't necessarily think it's a trap game, and I don't think it's hard to lock in because I mean, at the end of the day, you got to go play football. The game has to be played. But playing a long stretch of games and then you find yourself about to head into a bye week, mentally, it does do something to you whenever you've gone a stretch of games. And it's not like, yeah, we played pretty well in those games. Those were games that they weren't crappy opponents. We happened, to show up and play well in those games. But with South Carolina, I mean, it's a team that, yeah, they may not be the same team from last year, and they may not be playing well at the moment, but it is a team that has pieces offensively and defensively that could cause you problems. And you do have to show up ready to play that game, or those pieces can cause you problems in the game.
I'm about to derail our show. I'm about to go
Imagine that. That's never
completely
happened.
off topic. I want to do something different. So, Pro, I get it. We're playing South Carolina this week. Man, let's throw all that out the window. I want to ask you something different.
Okay.
And the reason I want to do this is because I often find myself doing it after I got hurt. And I still do it to this day. Does Tyrone Prothro think about his life and what it would be like if he didn't get hurt and what he would have accomplished in his life? And what does that look like to him?
When I sit back and talk about old times and I watch old videos, I have often sit back and thought about, well, if a few things don't happen on that play in the Florida game, I don't break my leg. And then if I finish the year out, our offense was great while I was there, and our offense took a hit whenever I got hurt. And for what I did for the offense, and then me, as much as I was a decoy in the offense. So there are times that I have sat back and thought about what ifs. As much as I thought about the what ifs, I look at my life now and I look at the career that I'm in and how I'm able to affect the people that I'm around, how I'm able to affect the kids and be a positive mentor. I am where I am for a reason. Although I do think about maybe the millions that I could have made had I not gotten hurt, but I also look at that side of it too, that I'm in a position that I am for a reason. And who knows, man, maybe I wouldn't have met my wife. Maybe I wouldn't have had my 3 kids, or, I mean, who knows? Now at this point, I can't see my life without them. So who knows where my life would have gone had I not gotten hurt.
Well, let me ask you this to add to it. And I'm not talking about the coaching aspect. Yeah, we get all that. I know the family, that's another consideration that you say that things gone differently. That may be different. But the one thing I want to ask you is, what was the one positive takeaway from your injury, if you were able to find one?
I guess the one positive is that you can't put all your eggs in one basket. My mindset was that I'm going to the league. I'm going to be able to get my family out of Heflin, Alabama. I'm going to be able to provide for my family. And you just never know when all that can come to an end. And you don't think about that until it happens. Just looking back on it, I think my injury, it just kind of helped me refocus on life in general. You got to have a backup plan. You got to have something to fall back on, because even if you go to the league, there's an expiration date on playing for every athlete. Regardless of whether you make it or not, you still got to have that backup plan, whether you have to use that backup plan earlier or whether it's later on down the line, but you got to have a backup plan.
Well, I'm glad you think that way, because ultimately a day will come that you finally get that clarity, or you feel like you've received that clarity for why you got hurt. And I know for me, that clarity, I didn't receive it until probably a year and a half ago is when I finally got to that moment of clarity. And it's funny. I was actually talking to Kendall Moorhead 2 days ago about this. And we were both laughing about, damn, we were roommates in college, and now we have more damn metal parts in our body than we had people living in our apartment. So for me, in talking to him, because he deals with a lot of the mental issues that I dealt with as well from injuries, and I finally shared with him why I felt like the positive for me getting hurt, the takeaway was the fact that I was able to preserve my brain, and I'm not as beat up and as bad off as a lot of these guys are who are our age, who can't enjoy the quality of life that they have. So I just want you to make sure that you understand that everything happens for a reason. And although you may or you may not have found that reason, but just try not to let it affect your mental. Because I know for me, man, that thing wore on me for almost 25 years until I finally had my moment of clarity.
I agree with you 100% on that. I mean, I think it's a plus that had I gone all those years and played 10, 15 plus years in the league, that's a wear and tear on your body. All the hits that who knows all the hits that I could have taken or whatever. But I do believe that it's not having that wear and tear. Although being 41 years old, you still kind of feel some wear and tear from the injury, but I do believe that not having just the abuse of going to everyday practice, everyday games, it does help out a little bit. Not having to go, not going through that, and then me being 41 years old. I think had I gone through that, it might be worse off now.
Well, I appreciate you, man, and I'm sorry for hijacking the show, but
That's all
just
right,
lately,
man.
man, the stuff with Rudy Johnson and Doug Martin, and just seeing the things that athletes go through in their mental, man, it's not easy. And I worry about myself. I worry about my brothers because I know as bad off as I am, a lot of them are a lot worse off than I am.
Right.
So I just want people to go out and get the help that they need. And I know as football players, that's not usually an easy pill to swallow to say, hey, I'm struggling mentally. I need help with X, Y, and Z. So I just want to encourage, man, anybody, whether you played at Alabama, Auburn, wherever you may have played, man, get the help you need. Because, again, we know we've scrambled our brains the majority of our lives. So just go get the help, man. That's all.
Yeah, I agree.
Marvin, don't apologize. We talk enough football in here, and we've got Tyrone on. And Tyrone, look, man, me and Justin do this more the analyst role. You guys played, but it is always a pleasure to have guys that we watched and admired. But man, look, we've gone Antonio Langham, Derek Classic, all these guys. We always have you guys, but I'll be honest, you hit me a little different, Tyrone, than most of the others because of the impact you did have because of that. And it seems like you kind of do take some rest in God's plan. Like I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have done all this. So that kind of gives me some heart that you're in the right spot. We've had Reggie Ragland on, and he may be the deepest soul we've ever had. And he goes into the lights going off, right? When you play in the game. But I hope you know, man, my wife didn't know we were doing a show with you today. And a friend of ours that played baseball at Auburn is dealing with some serious, the term you don't want to get.
Yeah.
He had to go to DCH for some treatment this weekend, and it came up. And the first thing she said, I'm scared of DCH. That's where the Bama player went. I apologize if I'm wrong for this in an offensive way. I've used you as kind of the poster child for why NIL should be a thing. You laid it on the line. It ended there. If you would have had those opportunities, it may have helped you, along the way. And so many guys that did, Marvin, that didn't get to go on to the NFL because of those injuries, you made a lot of money for those universities that y'all never really got to partake in. So I've always thought that. I don't think you derailed it at all, Marvin. You played for Alabama, the greatest football university to ever live, right? There's heroes and heroes and heroes. You may have resonated with me as much as any of them, man. So no, Marvin, I don't think you did. I'm just glad you did bring it up for the fans to be able to hear that side, Tyrone, that you have. Your story, your name, your legend, your legacy resonates in this fan base.
I'm in a good place with it. There was times where I did question why this happened to me, why I was up on a pedestal and then for it all to be taken away. But I am a firm believer in God has a plan for everybody. I do feel like I am in a pretty good place. I mean, the NFL ain't for everybody. Who knows? Maybe, everybody can't handle that type of money, especially if you never came from money like that. And who knows? I mean, maybe, I don't think with my personality and my attitude, I don't think that I would have gotten to the league and started making billions and started doing drugs and all this other stuff. But a lot of people can't handle that. They get exposed to a new life. They get exposed to different things. And I feel like maybe God saved me for something later on down the road.
When it finally hits you, the mental clarity that will follow, and it feels like a weight has been lifted off you.
Yep.
That's what it felt like to me when it finally happened about a year and some months ago. It finally felt like that weight was finally off my back. Now we'll find us an old Cutlass Supreme throwaway if you want to take a road trip to go see somebody.
about Brody's arm. You might not tell.
I'm not talking about Brody's arm. Bro know who I'm talking about. We need to go pull up on.
Or before we get in trouble with YouTube and everyone else, let's kind of get back to
5 minutes in the dark alley. That's all I need one time, baby. 5 minutes in the dark alley.
No, I'll be editing this part out so we're not incriminated.
I know. Layla says hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
There's a superstar
Right.
right there. Now, one guy who's really showing he's built different lately is Tai Simpson. Let's talk about our quarterback, Pro. Ty's been growing every week. So, what stood out to you about his confidence and command of this offense lately? And is it similar to what you experienced with Brody?
I definitely think that he has gained a lot of confidence. He's gained a lot of confidence in guys around him. Receivers have stepped up. It hasn't just been one, but it's been multiple guys that stepped up. And you can definitely tell from the first game till now that I feel like it's a totally different confidence and belief that they can go out and get it done week in and week out. You can just tell from that first game. I don't know. I feel like the look to describe it was almost like a deer in headlights is what it really looked like to me. But then if you look at now, they're rolling and guys are stepping up, and just the confidence that the guys have in him, the confidence that the coaches have in him, that goes a long way with being able to go out and run an offense and make the throws that you need to make and get guys in the right place. And so I really think he stepped it up to, and then, to get the hype that he's getting, guys can take that the wrong way and you can take that the right way. And I think he's humble enough to take that in stride and take it the right way.
You mentioned the deer in headlights. I don't know if Brody ever had one of those moments where you looked and like, man, okay, the moment's kind of big right now. We got to settle him down. What do you do as a teammate? Because obviously Ty had it, right? Because he wouldn't be playing as good now if it was just some scared. It was just that moment for the second. Is there anything you say as a receiver that has seen that he's got it? Like, hey, I know this guy's got it. He just needs to calm the freak on down. You were Brody's guy.
Right. I don't think I've ever really seen that look in Brody. I think he's always been confident enough in his arm and been confident enough in what he can do at the quarterback position that it was really just a matter of putting everything together around him. And I think with Ty having the pieces that he has after that first game, it really settled in as an offense in what they do. And I think they've started to perfect what they do as far as like game planning and whatever game plan they have for the week. I think they have started to have confidence in that game plan, have confidence in the grub, to call the plays and go out and execute what they're supposed to execute.
Pro, that was probably a bad example. I do think Brody walked on campus with swag. He just had it when he got here. I probably should have said when Brody went down and Spencer stepped in at Georgia or Brandon Avalos, you could see the deer in headlights.
Offensive line's got to block, receivers have got to run and catch, and running backs have to run the ball and they have to block and pass game. So having confidence in the people around you, it goes a long way as a quarterback.
The wildest thing about the success that Ty is having is the fact that our run game sucks. We cannot run the ball to save our life. Why is that important? Because if you can't run the ball, Pro, you know, like I know, that means the defense does not have to load the box. That means they can keep that extra defender back in the pass game. So the fact that he is torching defenses without them having to load the box is scary. I really hope that we can develop some type of run game so that we can force teams to have to start loading the box. We can start forcing teams to load the box. What is Ty's true potential at that point? What does that look like?
Good question.
Obviously, if you can find a run game and you start to run it well, then that does force people to have to put more in the box. And it also forces people, when you put more in the box, you have to play a lot more man. And so when you get to that point, now I think we have the guys on the edges that can win versus man coverage. And then now with Ty, not just a pocket quarterback, he can also roll out. He's also pretty good with his legs. So it's a recipe that I think works well for him, because when you put more in the box, that means you got one high man or cover zero if you're running it that well. So I definitely feel like it would help him if we were to establish a potent ground game to where people had to respect that.
I mean, you just think about it. You established the run. Now you can start running that play action pass, taking the top off defenses once they start walking that safety down. Like, that's when you start truly getting those favorable matchups. Letting Ryan Williams on the outside take the top off that defense. Letting Horton, letting Bernard just roast defenses. Because at that point, I'm going to put two into the boundary, send one on the post, one on the go route. I already know you got to load the box to face my run game. I'm going to play action pass you and just take the top off. One of the two of them going to be wide open.
Right. I mean, I can tell you being a receiver, and I can tell you the way I teach my guys, especially on the high school level, we have a very good run game at Jasper High School. That's kind of our stable is the run game. So, but I have a pretty good receiver group now to where people stack the box on us because we are that good at running the ball. And so for me, I tell my guys all the time, it's kind of disrespectful when teams go cover zero or go one high man against you, and those are the times where you're licking your chops because it when you one on ones, wide receivers and DBs at practice, that's the one thing they look forward to is one on ones, being able to compete against each other. So when you get opportunities to where you have a great run game, and then people start loading and start playing you man coverage, those are the opportunities where your great receivers get to be great.
Well, I'm hoping we get to that point in the next 2 or 3 games before we enter into the stretch of the season where we start considering SEC championship and playoffs. Because again, we're going to need that in that back half of the season.
Well, let's touch on that, bro. We're on a roll right now. These wide receivers, like we're talking about, man, they're cooking right now. Lotzeir Brooks, Ryan Williams, Germie Bernard, Isaiah Horton, who doesn't get talked about enough. So, got to put you on the spot. Who's impressed you the most so far?
There's a lot of them, man. You got big body receivers, you got small shifty receivers, you got guys that really specialize in running routes and can get open.
Time out,
And
time out, time out. Let me stop you right there.
here you go.
Stop giving us this politically correct answer,
Yeah,
man,
Sunday school
and
answers.
tell
So
us
don't take
what it is. All right.
Okay, I will say this. Brooks has really surprised me the way he's come on here lately. Of course, Germie Bernard, for him to come into the season, he's really been our go-to guy. But guys that are around him that started to kind of help him, I think it's kind of opened up some stuff back for Ryan Williams. But Germie and Brooks has really surprised me here lately, and probably mainly because he reminds me a little bit of myself, and he reminds
Yeah.
me with wearing that 17 reminds me of Jalen Waddle a little bit. I tend to slide toward guys that are more like myself.
Speaking of receivers, and you're still in the game coaching, obviously football has evolved to, I mean, when you play, safeties could take your head off, and it's opened it up. And I mean, you didn't play in the era where the receivers were running in the play to the huddle, but we weren't far from it. It's now evolved so much. Can you how much has it changed for the receiver position, or has it not much? Has it made it easier in this new era, you think?
I mean, it to the certain extent that you know you can run across the middle and know you're not going to get your head taken off. Back whenever I played, you feared going across the middle, and I would say I say that, but I didn't fear going across the middle. But just receivers fear going across the middle because you got linebackers like Marvin who probably would take your head off coming across that middle, and so you had to keep your head on a swivel for that. But I think the fact that guys can't hit you the way they want to hit you defensively, it takes a little bit off knowing that you can't get hit like that. So yeah, you might go across the middle, you might get shoulder checked or something like that, but you're not gonna, that they can't take your head off. So that's the way that I say that it's probably different.
Speaking of taking your head off,
Oh, here we go. It's gonna be
would
good.
you rather run a slant route in front of those mean ass linebackers
Okay.
or catching punts?
Oh, I'm catching punts all day. I'm catching punts all day. I mean, one thing about me, man, special teams, being punt return and kick return, those were all I took pride in those positions because those were other ways whenever I wasn't getting the ball on offense. That was another way for me to get the ball on punt return and kick return. So I took a lot of pride when I got back there. I remember being in high school, and my high school coach told me my junior and senior year that people stopped kicking it to me because I would always I would run them back or I would almost run them back, but a lot of them I take back to the house, so they stopped kicking it to me. Well, he said, but he told me whenever I got to college that everybody's gonna kick it to you because everybody runs the same speed, da 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 da. Well, whenever I finally my sophomore year and I got back there and started running punt return and kick return, and I started getting a few good returns, people stopped kicking it to me. They would see where I would line up at and they would, kick it to the opposite side. That was something that I really took pride in because it was another opportunity for me to get the ball. It was another opportunity to show what I could do to the fans and the people watching.
If there was a three-way battle to determine the all-time greatest punt returner in Alabama, it's between you, David Palmer, and Javier Arenas. Who's coming away with that trophy?
Man, I'm gonna give it to the guy that I grew up
Hold
on, the
on.
guy, the guy
No,
that I
Oh, now
idolized.
hold on, pro. Hold on, pro. Before you answer this, that was another amazing punt returner. That are we
Here we
gonna
go.
overlook him?
We talking about 15?
You damn right.
All right, I'm sorry.
No,
That's my
no,
bad.
no, now
Freddie
one
Millen.
five was pretty good. Now 1-5 was pretty good,
What?
but when I look at the overall scheme of just who I grew up watching and just what he meant, what he did when he was back there, and how much he was feared when he was back there. If I'm not giving it to myself, I'm giving it to David Palmer.
Great choice.
The deuce, baby. The
Yeah.
deuce is loose.
As we start to kind of wrap things up, kind of like to get your perspective on a few things, and I'll let the other guys put in their questions. For me, I want to ask about this game this weekend. What do you want to see from Alabama against South Carolina to show they're ready for that stretch run after this bye week? And it does get a little bit harder. Hard to imagine considering what we've already done, but LSU, Oklahoma, regardless of what's going on over there on the plains, Iron Bowl is always a tricky thing when you're on that Indian burial ground. What do you want to see this weekend? And then we'll go to Pettey and Marvin.
I just want to see us go in the game and handle business against a team that I feel like we are better than in every aspect. I feel like it's a team that they are down this year, but I feel like we have come out to play week in and week out outside of the first game. And I would just like to see us go out and handle business early and take control of the game and really assert our dominance on offense and defense, and not even give them an opportunity to don't breathe life into a dead man.
What was your most fun moment on the field at Alabama?
Obviously, that game against Southern Miss and having the catch, I think I had over 200, I think maybe 279 total yards that whole game. I had a kick return that I almost ran back. I think I had 134 yards receiving that game. Just my output in that game altogether was a good game. But I would have to say, even though I got injured and wasn't able to come back, that Florida game was a game that I enjoyed being in just because of the atmosphere. And I enjoyed playing in atmospheres like that. I feel like I stepped my game up when it came to playing teams like that and being in the magnitude of that game. So I would have to say the Florida game, I tell a lot of people that was my best and my worst game all in one game. It was definitely one of the loudest games that I've ever been a part of. And it was like that from the beginning to the end. It never died down. The fans stayed engaged in it. I mean, obviously, you're beating the number 5 team in the country, and you're beating them the way you're beating them. To me, still, that's one of the loudest that I've ever heard Brian Denny. Now, it was pretty loud on the pick 6 Saturday, but to me, that's still the Florida game was still one of the loudest that I've ever heard Brian Denny.
What was the one thing you wanted to accomplish at Alabama that you didn't get to due to what happened?
The one thing I didn't accomplish.
The one thing you wanted to accomplish that you didn't.
Well, the one thing that I wanted to accomplish was an All-American. I felt like I was good enough to become an All-American. I felt like I was good enough also to maybe put myself in Heisman talks had I finished that year out. I really wanted to be All-American football player, and I never was able to get that title.
It's crazy that you say that because I'm missing a Buckets trophy that should be right there.
I know that's right.
Great point.
I know that's right.
One last thing, can't let you go without your prediction.
Ooh.
Alabama versus South Carolina this weekend.
Are we looking for a score prediction right here?
Yes.
Yeah, man. Stop with this politically correct crap. Come on, spit it out.
No, I do think we're gonna go out and we're gonna handle business. As much as I love my coach, Coach Shula, he's the offensive coordinator at South Carolina. I'm looking for us to come out with a big win, and I'm gonna say 38-10.
Tyrone Prothro, man, we're very, very glad you spent this time with us. I know you went a little bit overtime, so we're definitely grateful for every minute. Absolute legend, man. You're always going to be that. We greatly appreciate you, brother. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Man, I enjoyed it, and I appreciate y'all for having me on here.
All right, real quick before we close up, though.
Okay.
Got to give a message. This might be to you, Petty. This might be to others. Time is never guaranteed. Never take for granted nor put off what you know you should do because of other things. My mom called me last week a couple times and she said, call your cousin. You know, one of my cousins, he has cancer. And she just kept telling me, call your cousin. And last week, I let work get the best of me and I didn't call my cousin. And then last night, my brother calls me around 10 p.m. to tell me my cousin has died. And I was like, damn it. I've been saying to myself I was going to call him this week. And I didn't do it because I let work get the best of me. Never let time get away from you. Despite what priorities you may have, sometimes that can wait. Do what's on your heart, do what's in your mind, and take care of your family. And I know you have a friend, Petty, going through the same thing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem real. And to think that I was sitting here planning to make this call this week. Now I can't.
That friend led to a discussion about Tyrone Prothro today. And again, my wife didn't even know we were doing this show. My heart's with you right now, bud.
Oh yeah, I'll be praying for you and the family, man.
Well, I appreciate it, brother.
Definitely add to my prayer list as well. Man, thank you again, guys. Greatly appreciate everyone for being on this show. And for those who are watching in the audience, hit the like and subscribe button. And we will see you after the game this weekend for the post-game show. Until then, roll tide, everyone.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.